Howdy all, I'm Adam Renaissance Learner, and welcome back to my reviews of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, or as we will generally think of it, not really Spider-Man. Now, first of all, if you are a crying little whiny ring stan who's calling me a racist for all my commentary so far, I want to take a real close look. This is my I don't give an F face, because you're a moron, and you're not a real fan. You don't really care about Spider-Man. You care about agenda. You only suck the dick of the MCU because you've been trained to like a good little clapping seal. Right, moving right along. Today's episode is honestly it's the least annoying one so far, but it's also boring because the biggest problem with this episode 3, is it's a clinic in bad writing and bad storytelling. There's only one little more racisms in it, but otherwise, that's kind of it. It shouldn't take us very long to get through it. So let's dive right in, shall we? We pick up where we left off last week, where Norman Osborn, race-swapped Norman Osborn, has revealed the fact that he has busted Peter changing into Spider-Man in a basically stairwell in Oscorp. Now, there's a lot of problems with this, especially with the explanation, where, first of all, Norman's going to dismiss Peter, and then Peter's going to have this whole, I'm reliving the moment over and over again in my head as I go through my daily life for the next day or so, until he finds himself in Nico's room playing video games, where after her just being obnoxious about beating him, she then continues to harp on the fact that he left her hanging at a party where he had to talk to a dude called Sweaty Mike about, things. He had a job, and you're being a bitch about it. So Nico continues to be an obnoxious bitch, and she will be an obnoxious bitch the rest of the episode when we see her. So, and also they got to let you know that she lives in a foster home. She's that kind of person, okay? And remind you, she don't remind us here, but just remember she's gay. Right. So Pete's going to go through the motions for the next little bit where he has to go see Norman for a dinner. That's where he turns down going to see movies with Nico, who's also very angry about. Well, she's passively aggressively angry is the thing. And she gives him shit about going to see Norman for dinner. So Pete's going to go to see Norman. They're going to have this big dinner. Norman buys out the whole restaurant so they could talk. And here's where we get the reveal. Norman didn't just randomly pick Peter for a science project. Now we're getting more of the Tony Stark-esque able to track him down. He first says to Peter, he invites him to work with him as Spider-Man. Pete tries to tell a bullshit excuse. Maybe there are security people pranking you. And Norman says, hey, that's not right because these are my private cameras that only I have access to. So let me get this straight. Here's our first note of bad writing and bad storytelling. You're telling me that Norman Osborn, for no reason whatsoever, has private cameras in stairwells, in random stairwells in Oscorp. Really? That's just retarded. It's just that makes it a coincidence that he caught Peter changing clothes before he zipped away. So that's just dumb. It makes no sense. Why does he have his private securities cameras in the stairwells where literally nothing's happening? Except Peter, of course, changing into Spider-Man costume. So that's retarded. Pete's going to tell a dumb thing about that. He's going to try and get out of it, but no. Norman's going to drill him down on it and say, listen, Spider-Man saved my son, and I wanted to thank him. So I've been tracking down who Spider-Man was, and I had it narrowed down to the applicants for the internship program because I thought maybe they're helping him. But no, you're a genius yourself who is Spider-Man, and I want to help you. And he goes off on this little thing about, we can do this, do that. I'm going to make this gear for you, this gear for that, blah, blah. And it's just a lot of annoying stuff that here's where my brain is going in this at this point. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. This is going to be long-term bad storytelling, completely screwing over the Spider-Man mythology, the Spider-Man lore in terms of Peter versus Norman, Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin. How can you possibly down the road have him being the Green Goblin and he knows everything about Peter Parker? Because that's kind of the dynamic for years, that neither one knew who the other was until way later. It's as though they don't think ahead. They just think, oh, let's have Norman Osborn being sort of a Tony Stark clone, and we're all going to chuckle because he's going to be the Green Goblin one day, not thinking ahead that there could be storytelling problems with both of them knowing each other's identities. Because it's not as though he's another supervillain who may know Peter's identity, but that only makes it a problem for him finding out where he lives. This is Norman Osborn, a powerful billionaire who has control over God knows how many deep secret dark organizations, this and that. It doesn't make good storytelling writing sense. They don't think ahead. The morons in this thing they get dropped into a single episode, and that's all they think about. They try to tell serialized storytelling and at the same time be episodic, but not realizing that they're screwing themselves over because they're dumb. They're hacks. They don't have talent. Anyway, Peter in the end is going to turn him down because he's going to be selfless. Oh, I have to be able to protect myself. I don't want to hurt others. And Norman pays him $1,000 and sends him on his way. So then Pete's going to go home with leftovers, and we have Manhands May is basically getting ready to sell a bunch of shit because they have money problems. And it's also a combination of a very poor attempt at showing us that May is still mourning Ben, and the only way she can mourn him is to get rid of all his shit. Bad storytelling, bad writing. And also, I'm not feeling any sort of compelling connection to anybody here because they're just going through the motions. There's no depth to anything. In these 22, 23-minute episodes, they're just barrel-assing through. They're not taking time to develop. And when they do develop, it's stereotypical and it's lame. Pete's going to get back to school the next day, and we're going to have cringy interactions between him and Baby Tombstone and Big Shoulders Pearl, ethnically ambiguous Pearl, and Nico. Long story short of this, and this is where I'm going to break for a moment and break from the narrative of the episode just to get one storyline out of the way so we can focus on another. What's going to happen here is that Lonnie's going to offer to buy Peter lunch because they're having a great time at science. He's winning at football, this and that. Problem is, Lonnie is now going to be told that his credit card is declined. He doesn't have enough money to pay for everybody's lunches. And we're showing that, Lonnie's on hard times. He doesn't have money. His family doesn't have money. And they're about to have a whole bunch of other problems. Meanwhile, Pearl is being all nice to them and this and that. And they've kind of quickly gotten away from the Peter Pearl obsession thing. It's only 3 episodes in. I don't feel like they're going to harp on that much longer. If they do, it's a bad idea. Basically, in the middle of discussion at lunch, Lonnie's going to get a call from his mom to come home for some reason. And then he's going to ask Pearl for a ride. And then Nico is going to steal their lunch, saying, they're not coming back. Terrible person. Nico is a terrible person. Right, now we're going to split. We're going to talk about Baby Tombstone, and then we're going to come back to Peter and his stuff. So Baby Tombstone's going to go home, and he's going to see cops in front of the door, and he's going to learn quickly that his baby little brother, Dre, has been busted for working with a gang. And his mom, this is, again, bad story writing. Why did his mom have him come home in the middle of the day from school to deal with this? His dad's home. Why can't they deal with it without him? No, they have to bring him home. Why? It's as though the parents are useless. Because apparently they are useless because they don't know what's going on in their kids' lives. They seem to be in a nice home, but apparently they have something so bad that the little brother decides to go work with a gang. They didn't set this up at all. It's all done so we could turn Baby Tombstone into Tombstone. What's going to happen is Baby Tombstone's going to go into his brother's room. The kid is bailed, and he's going to track him down using a cell phone to where this gang is hanging out. And now we go through the whole thing of he tries to get his brother out of the gang, but the gang leader doesn't want him to go because he says, we're his family now. So what Baby Tombstone does is make a trade, him for the baby brother. All right, so here's our slight bit of more racism for the episode. Of course, black kids are in a gang. Of course, black kids are in the gang. And here is how we're going to get Tombstone. He doesn't want to be a bad guy, but he has now been forced into a life of crime to protect his brother. So in the deep down inside, Tombstone's really a good guy. He's gonna go down a life of crime, and it's gonna turn him bad. And when he becomes Tombstone, it's not gonna be his own fault. It's because he got dragged into it to protect somebody else. So he's really not a bad guy. He's a villain with a heart of gold. That's where we're going. Bad writing, bad storytelling, and Tombstone will probably happen in the next 2 to 3 episodes. We're going to get Tombstone. There's going to be an accident, and he's going to mutate into Tombstone. Right, back to Petey Parker and his Spider-Man stuff. So at one point when he was noticing that May is hard up, he took Ben's camera, and he starts taking pictures and this and that, and now he's starting to think about what can I do to help get money for the family. Now, during all this, a couple of rando, stupid people were paid to get some dangerous tech. Same tech that the Firebug was using in the previous episode when he burned down all the shit. And now they're going to rob a jewelry store with their tech. One's a speedster with boots. The chick as basically Wolverine claw on her gauntlets, okay? Electric gauntlet claw thing. And then Peter's going to go in there. He's going to go Spider-Man. He's going to fight them. And this whole scene is ridiculous. One, I'm not saying the choreography is bad, but here are the hallmarks of people afraid to do an actual superhero versus villain fight. First of all, you've got two people who are randos. These aren't even Spider-Man villains. And this shows you that Disney can't use direct copies of Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. Spider-Man, who in my opinion, and now this is controversial, has an even better Rogues Gallery than Batman. I like the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery way more than Batman Rogues Gallery. I just do. Because I like Spider-Man more than Batman. Sue me. Whatever. Different conversation. You can yell at me another time. Point is, Spider-Man has one of the greatest Rogues Galleries of all time, but let's just make up randos using tech. Let's just do that. Okay? Let's do that. So these two have really horrible banter with each other, and Peter's going to come in, he's going to banter with them, he's going to fight them, and never once does he actually try to hit them, especially the girl. He has a chance at one point where he is swinging around, and he's got his feet on her, but instead of kicking, he just lightly flips away from her. He could have knocked her the F out, but he doesn't, because of course he can't hit a girl. But then again, you can't show Spider-Man actually beating up villains. He's just got to web them. This Spider-Man's calling card is just webbing people up constantly. No punching, webbing people up. It's very lame, makes for very bad, boring fights. Anyway, he's going to get his ass kicked in the first round because he's Peter Parker. He's not smart enough to analyze the fight and analyze the tech, and he obviously doesn't have spider sense yet. Because if he had spider sense, he would be able to dodge the speedster with his boots. But he doesn't have, spider sense hasn't kicked in yet, just like Tom Holland didn't kick in for 3 movies. So what we have here now is Peter gets his ass beat, and these two bozos are going to fight with the cops for a minute until Norman hacks into Peter's audio stuff in his mask and starts giving him advice. So suddenly, basically Norman Osborn is oracling this, to make another Batman reference. He's oracling this shit. And he's giving Peter hints about how the tech works, and look at this, look at that. And Pete's like, great, I see it now. And then Pete's going to handily defeat them, thanks to Norman's tips. And then they're done. And then Pete's going to go visit Norman and say, hey, great, I want you to work with me. Yay. And that's the episode. There you go. That's it. We're done. So yeah, this is it's a boring, lame episode. A lot of false drama, a lot of crap that should be done better. We don't need Tombstone to end up being a criminal who didn't want to be a criminal. We don't need Norman Osborn so deeply entrenched into Peter's both personal life and superhero life, because it's going to cause a whole mess of problems for storytelling later. And at the same time, you've done nothing but make Nico an obnoxious bitch, a selfish, obnoxious bitch. Pearl is a shallow nothing. And all these other things, there's no depth to this show. Just like there's no depth to the animation. You constantly have people just standing completely static in the background of all these frames. It shows a disaster. It's going to continue to be a disaster, even though it's got 3 seasons. It was all 25 or 30 episodes already purchased and they're just chopping it up. It's not 3 seasons because it's going to be a success. It's boring, it's bad, it's dumb, but we've got more of this go. So I'll be back next time with episode 4. And if you're crying at me, cry some more. I'm still going to come back and do this again. So thank you, everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take it easy. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.